Ellis Blake was having regrets. Specifically, she was regretting the 6-foot-tall Monstera Deliciosa she'd impulse bought 2 weeks ago during a treat-yourself moment that had clearly been a temporary lapse in judgment. Tell me where you're watching from, because today you'll discover that sometimes the best relationships start with terrible decisions, broken elevators, and a man who doesn't ask permission before solving your problems. Moving day had been going smoothly until 4:30 p.m. when the elevator broke. Everything was already upstairs in her new 7th-floor apartment except for one thing: the massive Monstera the movers refused to carry because it wasn't on the inventory list. She'd planned to take it up in the elevator. Except now there was no elevator for at least 2 hours. Ellis stood in the lobby, looking at the plant, then at the stairs, then back at the plant. The ceramic pot alone probably weighed 30 pounds. The plant added another 20. Her arms were already sore from directing movers all day. She was wearing an old college sweater that had a mysterious stain on the sleeve and yoga pants that had given up any pretense of elasticity. This plant cost $200. She could have bought a gym membership. Or therapy. Both would have been smarter choices. But she was not leaving a $200 plant in the lobby overnight, where it could be stolen, damaged, or adopted by someone with better judgment. "Okay," she said to the plant. "You and me. 7 floors. I design functional living spaces for a living. I can carry you up 7 flights of stairs. This is fine. Everything is fine." The doorman, who'd witnessed this entire internal monologue spoken aloud, offered to help, but his shift had ended at 5 p.m., and union rules meant he couldn't stay. He wished her luck with the sincerity of someone who knew she'd need it. Ellis bent her knees, got her arms around the pot, lifted. Immediately regretted every choice that had led to this moment. The plant was heavier than she'd estimated. Her architectural training had apparently failed to account for the density of ceramic and the awkward weight distribution of large tropical plants. She made it to the 2nd-floor landing before her arms gave out. Set the plant down. Her lower back was already protesting. This plant cost $200. She could have bought a gym membership, or therapy. Both would have been smarter choices. If she died here carrying a Monstera up 7 flights of stairs, that was going on her tombstone. Need help? She straightened, turned. The man on the stairs was unfairly attractive. Tall, dark hair, strong features, wearing workout clothes that showed exactly why he was coming from the gym. "I'm fine," Ellis said, which was obviously a lie. "Just resting." He looked at the plant, looked at the 5 flights still ahead, raised an eyebrow. "You're carrying a 50-pound plant up 5 more flights in a sweater from 2015. You're not fine. It's vintage. It's from a college bookstore. I can see the logo." He was already picking up the plant like it weighed nothing. "Which floor?" 7, but I'm already doing it." She grabbed his gym bag before it got stolen, because apparently she was helpful like that, and followed him up the stairs, feeling like she should protest more, but also deeply relieved that her arms were no longer responsible for plant transportation. "I'm Ellis," she said to his back. "Blake. Ellis Blake. And I'm normally more capable than this. Luca Ferrara." He didn't sound winded at all, despite carrying a plant up 3 flights of stairs. "And I don't doubt your capability, but plants this size are a 2-person job. I literally design spaces for a living. I should have anticipated the logistics of plant-to-staircase transportation." "Architect? How did you said you design spaces, and you have that look. What look?" "The look of someone who spent 3 hours debating paint swatches for a room no one else will notice." She wanted to be offended, but he was completely right. She'd spent 4 hours last week debating between Swiss coffee and alabaster for her bedroom. They were nearly identical. She'd chosen Swiss coffee. They reached the 7th floor. Ellis's lungs were protesting the climb. Luca looked like he'd taken a casual stroll. 7C, she said, fumbling for her keys. She unlocked the door. He walked in without waiting for an invitation, which should have been presumptuous, but somehow felt natural. carried the plant directly to the spot by the window where natural light was best. The exact spot she'd been planning to put it. How did you know? Monstera need indirect light. That corner gets morning sun through the neighboring building. Best spot in the apartment. He set the plant by the window. Perfect spot for light. Turned to face her. Thank you, she said. Really? I would have made it eventually, but probably would have thrown my back out. You would have made it, but this was faster. There was a moment of charged silence. Can I get you water? She asked. Water's fine. She found bottles in a kitchen box, handed him one. He noticed the architectural drawings on her table. Residential? He asked. Mostly. I work at Morrison & Klein. High-end residential, some commercial. Good firm. I'm Luca Ferrara, property development. I own buildings in the city. Ellis Blake, architecture. They talked easily. Her brownstone project, his Chelsea renovation, the pain of dealing with historic preservation boards. I should let you unpack, he said finally. Welcome to the building. I'm in 12A if you need anything. Penthouse? Penthouse. Of course you are. That small smile again. Have a good evening, Ellis. After he left, she stood in her apartment for a full minute, staring at the closed door. Then she texted Maya. Remember when you said use my feminine wiles? Neighbor just carried my plant up 6 flights of stairs while I followed him like a sweaty disaster. He lives in the penthouse. He's unfairly attractive. I'm pretty sure I made 0 good impressions. Maya's response. Or he thinks you're charming and this is fate. Details. I need details. Ellis looked at the plant in its perfect spot by the window. Looked at her boxes. Looked at her reflection in the dark window. Sweaty, disheveled, living her best life. This is fine, she told herself. Everything is completely fine. I definitely didn't just meet a hot neighbor while looking like I lost a fight with a moving truck. This is totally fine. It was not fine, but she was too tired to care. The next morning, Ellis woke up sore in muscles she'd forgotten existed. Carrying plant for 2 floors apparently used different muscle groups than her usual walk everywhere and call it exercise routine. She showered, dressed in actual professional clothes, black dress, heels, minimal jewelry, and grabbed her portfolio bag. First day working from the new apartment location meant different commute timing. She needed to leave by 7:45 to make the office by 8:30. The elevator was working again. Small mercies. In the lobby, she grabbed coffee from the small cafe that occupied the corner of the ground floor. One of those bougie places that charged $7 for a latte and made it almost worth it. She was adding sugar when a familiar voice said, Ellis, looking more put together. She turned. Luca was there, also getting coffee, wearing dark jeans and a black Henley that should have been casual but looked expensive. His hair was slightly damp like he'd showered recently. He looked alert and put together in a way that Ellis deeply envied, given that she'd needed 15 minutes and concealer to look human. I clean up okay, she said, when I'm not wrestling plants. Clearly. He ordered an espresso, paid for both their drinks before she could argue. You didn't have to. I know. How's the apartment? Still mostly boxes, but the plant is thriving in its new home, so that's something. Priorities. Exactly. Who needs furniture when you have a well-placed monstera? The barista called their orders. Luca handed Ellis her latte. Where are you headed? He asked. Work, Midtown. I have a client meeting about a brownstone renovation in Brooklyn. Historic preservation? The worst kind. The owners want to gut the interior but keep the facade, which means dealing with landmarks preservation, structural engineers, and a budget that keeps getting smaller every time someone discovers original molding. Sounds complicated. It's a nightmare. I love it. She checked her phone. 7:48. I should go. Train to catch. Have a good day, Ellis. There was something about the way he said her name. Deliberate, like he was choosing to use it instead of defaulting to some generic term. She liked it more than she should after knowing him for 12 hours. The commute was smooth. The meeting was productive. She spent the afternoon drafting revisions and arguing with engineers about load-bearing walls. Normal architect stuff. Around 6 p.m., her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. It's Luca from 12A. Fair warning. Building is doing fire alarm testing tonight at 8 p.m. Extremely loud. Thought you should know since you just moved in. She saved his number, texted back. Appreciate the warning. Will plan my mental breakdown accordingly. If you need somewhere quiet to work, my place has thick walls. She stared at that message for a full 30 seconds. Was he offering his apartment? Or just being neighborly? Was there a difference? She typed, "That's nice of you, but I'll survive. I have noise-canceling headphones and poor life choices." The offer stands. She didn't take him up on it, but the fact that he offered did something weird to her chest that she chose not to examine too closely. The fire alarm testing was, as promised, extremely loud. Ellis put on headphones, blasted music, and unpacked boxes, while questioning her choice to move into a building that apparently believed in thorough safety protocols. Around 9 p.m., she heard knocking on her door over the music. Luca was standing there with a bottle of wine and takeout containers. "You didn't answer your phone," he said. "What?" He gestured at her headphones. She pulled them off. "The alarm testing was extended another hour. Figured you might want dinner and noise elsewhere. My offer still stands." She should say no. Should maintain professional boundaries with attractive neighbors she barely knew. Should not accept invitations to penthouses from men who looked like they could break her in half or ruin her life. She wasn't sure which was more dangerous. "What kind of takeout?" she asked. "Thai. I got 3 entrees because I wasn't sure what you'd like." "You brought me food without asking first?" Seemed presumptuous to ask without bringing a peace offering. She looked at him, at the wine, at the takeout, at her apartment where fire alarms were still shrieking at regular intervals. "Okay," she said. "Yes. Let's go to your place before I commit noise violation murder." His penthouse was exactly what she expected, and somehow more. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. Modern furniture that managed to look comfortable instead of sterile. Open floor plan with a kitchen that made her apartment's galley situation look like a closet. Art on the walls that was either very expensive or very good reproductions. She couldn't tell which. "This is obscene," she said. "It's home." "Your home has a view of Central Park, and what I'm pretty sure is original mid-century modern furniture. My home has boxes and that plant you carried." "The plant is nice." "The plant is the only thing I've successfully arranged." He set the takeout on the dining table. Actual dining table, not folding table from Target situation. Poured wine. Plated food like they were civilized adults instead of near strangers eating Thai food on a Tuesday night. "So," Ellis said, sitting down. "Property development. What does that actually mean?" "Buying buildings, renovating them, managing properties, sometimes developing new construction. Mostly dealing with contractors, permits, and people who think they can DIY electrical work. Every architect's nightmare client. Every property owner's nightmare tenant." They ate, talked. He asked about her work. She told him about the brownstone project, the clients who kept changing their minds, the engineer who insisted every wall was load-bearing until proven otherwise. He told her about a building in Chelsea he was renovating, the tenant who'd been there since 1987 and refused to leave despite offers, the permit process that had taken 8 months. The conversation was easy, comfortable, like they'd known each other longer than 24 hours. Around 11, Ellis realized she should probably go home. She started. Let me help you with your furniture, Luca said. Tomorrow evening. I'm free after 6. You don't have to. I know, but you need furniture arranged and I'm available. Seems practical. She studied him. He looked sincere. Not like he was trying to get something, just offering help. Okay, she said. Tomorrow, 6 p.m., but I'm buying dinner. Deal. He walked her downstairs to her apartment despite living 5 floors up, which was either gentlemanly or ridiculous. She couldn't decide. At her door. Thank you for tonight. The food, the quiet apartment, the distraction. You're welcome. Another charged moment. This time she was very aware of how close he was standing, how good he smelled, how his eyes were dark and focused on her face like she was the most interesting thing in the building. Good night, Ellis. Good night, Luca. She went inside, closed the door, stood there for 30 seconds processing. Then she texted Maya. Help. I think I like my neighbor, and I'm pretty sure he likes me back. This is a terrible idea, right? Maya. Terrible ideas make the best stories. Go for it. The next day was Wednesday. Ellis worked from home, had video calls with clients, revised blueprints, and tried not to think about the fact that Luca was coming over at 6 to help her arrange furniture. At 5:30, she changed clothes 3 times before settling on jeans and a sweater that looked casual, but not, I'm trying too hard, casual. He showed up at 6 exactly, wearing jeans and a t-shirt that revealed muscular forearms and made Ellis forget how to form complete sentences for a solid 5 seconds. Where do you want to start? He asked. Living room. The couch is against the wrong wall and I can't move it alone. They spent 2 hours arranging furniture. He had good spatial awareness, which made sense for someone in property development, and didn't argue when she changed her mind 3 times about the bookshelf placement. This is why I'm single, she said, after moving the bookshelf for the 4th time. I'm too indecisive about furniture. That's not why you're single. Oh, why am I single then? You're focused on your career, too independent. Guys don't know what to do with that. Did you just psychoanalyze me while moving my bookshelf? I read people. Occupational hazard. What occupation requires reading people? Business. You learn fast who's serious and who's wasting your time. Fair point. Around 8, they ordered pizza. Ate it sitting on her floor because her dining table was still covered in unpacking chaos. This is very college, Ellis observed. College was easier. College was terrible. I had 3 roommates, no money, and a professor who gave me a C on a project because I used too much glass. Too much glass? His words. Glass is a crutch for architects who can't create interesting spaces with solid materials. He was pretentious and wrong. What did you do? Redesigned the project with only solid materials, made it boring as hell, got an A-. Luca laughed. Petty. Strategic. They talked until midnight, about college, about career paths, about living in New York. She learned he'd been in the city for 8 years, that he'd grown up in Chicago, that his family was still there. Do you go back often? She asked. Often enough. We're close, but distance is good sometimes. I get that. My parents are in Boston, academics. They still don't understand why I chose architecture over getting a PhD in something respectable. Architecture is respectable. Tell that to my mother, who has 3 doctorate degrees and thinks creative careers are charming hobbies. Ouch. Yeah, we have a great relationship built on mutual judgment and disappointed expectations. Family's complicated. That's a diplomatic way of putting it. When he finally left, it was past midnight, and her apartment looked like an actual living space instead of a storage unit. Thank you, she said at the door, for all of this. You're welcome. Same time tomorrow? We still need to tackle your bedroom. Her brain short-circuited briefly at the phrase, tackle your bedroom, before she realized he meant furniture arrangement. Tomorrow works, she managed. Thursday evening, he came back. They arranged her bedroom furniture, which involved her changing her mind about the bed placement 6 times, while he patiently moved a queen-size bed frame around like it weighed nothing. Ellis tried very hard not to notice his arms, the way his shoulders moved, the casual strength, failed completely. "You work out," she observed intelligently. "Most days." "It shows." He glanced at her, small smile. "Thank you." That wasn't a compliment. That was an observation. Felt like a compliment. "Your ego doesn't need help. Neither does yours." Fair point. Saturday morning, Ellis hit the building gym with ambitious plans. Reality. She had no idea what she was doing. Luca was doing pull-ups in the corner, shirtless. Ellis's brain short-circuited. His back was all defined muscle, shoulders broad, arms pulling his weight up with effortless control. When he dropped down and turned around, his chest and abs were just as impressive. Functional strength, not gym vanity. He had a tattoo in Italian script along his ribs. He noticed her struggling with a weight machine. Came over, adjusted settings without asking. Try now. Perfect resistance. Show off. He walked her through different machines. Patient. His hands warm when adjusting her grip. Voice lower when explaining form. She tried to focus. Failed spectacularly. He was standing close. Smelled good even after his workout. And she was very aware of every point of contact when he corrected her positioning. "You work out a lot," she observed brilliantly. "Most days. Discipline thing. It shows." Small smile. "Thank you." After an hour, probably 30 minutes actual exercise, 30 minutes distraction, he asked, "Dinner?" She blinked. "What? You've been here 5 days. You probably haven't cooked yet. I know a place." This was a date. He was asking her on a date. Like, dinner? Is there another kind? Tonight? 7 p.m. Okay, yes. She went back to her apartment, immediately called Maya. "He asked me to dinner." "Finally, what are you wearing?" "I have no idea. Help. Emergency fashion consult needed." They FaceTimed for an hour. Ellis tried on 6 outfits, settled on a simple black dress that was nice enough for a date, but not, "I'm trying too hard," nice. At 7 exactly, Luca knocked on her door. He was wearing dark jeans, black button-down, looking unfairly put together. "Ready?" he asked, "as I'll ever be." The restaurant was in the West Village. Small, intimate, the kind of place that didn't need a sign because regulars knew where it was, and tourists would never find it. The exterior was understated brick, a single window with soft lighting inside, a door that looked like it might lead to someone's apartment instead of a restaurant. Inside was warmth. Exposed brick walls, wooden tables with candles, soft Italian music playing. Maybe 20 tables total, half of them occupied despite it being 7:30 on a Saturday. The owner, elderly Italian man, probably 70, greeted Luca by name, embraced him like family, led them to a table in the back corner that had privacy and perfect lighting. "Luca, troppo tempo. Too long." "Lo so, Sal. Sono stato impegnato." "I know, I've been busy." They spoke rapid Italian for 30 seconds. Sal glanced at Ellis, smiled knowingly, said something that made Luca shake his head but smile. "Ellis," Luca said, switching to English. "This is Salvatore. He owns the place. Sal, this is Ellis Blake." Salvatore took her hand, kissed it with old-world charm. "Beautiful. Finally, he brings someone worth bringing." "Sal," Luca warned, "I speak truth. You bring business associates, boring people. This one has kind eyes. I approve." He disappeared toward the kitchen, leaving them alone at their corner table. "You're a regular," Ellis observed, sitting down. "I appreciate good food." "And privacy?" "That too. Should I be concerned that you have a corner table at an Italian restaurant where the owner greets you by name?" Would it matter if you were? Probably not at this point. I'm already here. He smiled. Honest. I like that. A waitress appeared. Young, efficient, clearly knew Luca. Wine appeared without him ordering. Red, expensive-looking bottle, 2 glasses. You have a usual wine, Ellis said. Sal knows what I like. This is either very romantic or very mob movie. I can't decide which. Can it be both? That's a concerning answer. He poured wine for both of them. To new beginnings. She clinked glasses. To terrible decisions that might work out. That's optimistic. I'm an optimist disguised as a cynic. It's my brand. The wine was incredible. Ellis wasn't a wine person. She usually ordered whatever was on sale. But this was smooth, rich, the kind of wine that made you understand why people spent money on it. This is really good, she admitted. Sal has excellent taste. Or you do. I learned from Sal. Menus appeared. Ellis opened hers, saw it was entirely in Italian. I can't read this, she said. Do you trust me? Surprisingly, yes. Which is either good judgment or terrible judgment. We'll find out. He ordered in Italian. Several things. She had no idea what. The waitress nodded, disappeared. Did you just order for both of us? Yes. Is that a problem? Most men asking permission first is a problem. You just doing it is somehow fine. I'm concerned about my standards. Your standards are excellent. You're here with me. That's circular logic. That's confidence. Food started appearing. First course. Some kind of pasta and light sauce that was probably illegal in several countries because nothing should taste that good. Oh my God, Ellis said after the first bite. Good? This is insane. What is this? Cacio e pepe, cheese and pepper. Simple but perfect when done right. She took another bite. If I could marry this pasta, I would. Sorry, you're being replaced. Understandable. Sal's cacio e pepe is legendary. They ate, talked. He asked about her work. She told him about the brownstone project, the clients who kept changing their minds about bathroom tile. They've looked at 47 different tiles, she said. 47. They all look the same. I've lost the ability to see color. What did you recommend? The first one I showed them. They'll eventually come back to it after looking at 200 more options. Cynical. Experienced. He told her about a building in Chelsea he was renovating. Historical preservation requirements that made everything complicated. A tenant on the 3rd floor who'd been there since 1987 and refused to leave despite generous buyout offers. She's 83, he said. Rent controlled. She pays $600 a month for a 2-bedroom. Market rate would be $4,000. Can you force her out? Legally? Eventually. But she's 83. I'm not forcing out an old woman. So what are you doing? Renovating around her. She can stay as long as she wants. Ellis studied him. That's kind of you. That's practical. Bad press isn't worth $4,000 a month. I don't believe that's your only reason. He smiled. Maybe not. Second course arrived. Some kind of fish and white wine sauce with vegetables that looked like art. I'm going to gain 10 pounds eating like this, Ellis observed. Worth it. Absolutely worth it. They talked about everything. Her childhood in Boston. Academic parents who'd expected her to follow in their footsteps, get a PhD, become a professor. Her decision to do architecture instead had been mild rebellion. They were disappointed, she admitted. Not angry, just concerned I was wasting my potential on something creative instead of something serious. Architecture is serious. Tell that to my mother, who has 3 PhDs and thinks anything that isn't peer-reviewed isn't real work. Do they know you're good at it? They've seen my projects. They say nice things. But there's always this undercurrent of, but imagine if you'd done something important. That's terrible. That's family. Do you have siblings? 3 brothers, all in Chicago, all involved in family business. Close. Close enough. Distance helps. Too much family can be overwhelming. Says the man who has Sunday dinners with extended family. Says the woman who moves across the country to avoid academic disappointment. Fair point. Dessert appeared, tiramisu that should have been illegal. I can't eat another bite, Ellis said. Yes, you can. She could. The tiramisu was perfect. She made sounds that were probably inappropriate in public. Luca watched her with amusement. You really like food. I really like good food. There's a difference. I don't have patience for mediocre anything. High standards. The highest. It's why I'm single. You're not single anymore. Her heart did something acrobatic. Is that what we are? Not single? Is that what you want to be? I don't know. We've known each other less than a week. Time is relative. That's physics, not relationships. Maybe relationships are physics. 2 objects attracted to each other, pulled together by natural forces. That's the worst metaphor I've ever heard. But accurate? She looked at him. At his face in candlelight, his eyes focused on her like she was the most interesting thing in the room. At the easy way he smiled, the confidence without arrogance, the careful attention he paid when she talked. Maybe accurate, she admitted. He paid the bill, wouldn't let her contribute despite her protests. They left around 10, walked out into the village night. The city was alive around them, couples walking, street performers, the eternal sound of traffic and humanity. Walk? He suggested. Where? Nowhere. Just walk. They took the long route back. Through the village, past Washington Square Park where students and tourists mingled, up toward their building via streets that were residential and quiet. He told her stories about New York, places he'd lived, restaurants he'd discovered, the evolution of neighborhoods over 8 years. She told him about architecture school, all-nighters in the studio, professors who were brilliant and insane, friends she'd made and lost touch with. It was easy, comfortable, like they'd known each other longer than 6 days. Outside their building, he walked her to the door despite living there himself. I had a really good time, Ellis said. So did I. Moment of tension. They were standing close. Close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes, could smell his cologne mixing with wine and restaurant warmth, could feel the magnetic pull of whatever this chemistry was between them. He didn't kiss her, gave her space instead. Good night, Ellis. Good night, Luca. She went upstairs feeling simultaneously disappointed and relieved. Disappointed because she'd wanted him to kiss her. Relieved because she wasn't sure she was ready for whatever came after that kiss. Her phone buzzed 20 minutes later while she was getting ready for bed. Luca. For what it's worth, I wanted to kiss you goodnight. Her heart stopped. Started again. Beat faster. Ellis. Why didn't you? Luca. Because when I kiss you, I want to do it right. Not rushed outside a building because the moment feels right. I want you sure. Ellis. And if I'm sure now? Luca. Then I'll see you tomorrow. Ellis stared at her phone. Typed and deleted 3 responses. Finally settled on, tomorrow, then. She texted Maya immediately. He didn't kiss me, but then texted saying he wanted to but wants me to be sure and I'm dying. This man is going to kill me. Maya. Good dying or bad dying? Ellis. Good. Definitely good. Help. Maya. No help. Just enjoy it. This is the fun part. The fun part. Right. The part where her heart was racing and her brain couldn't focus, and she was falling for a neighbor she barely knew, but somehow felt like she'd known forever. This was either the best decision or the worst decision. She was betting on best. Sunday afternoon, he texted, My place, 7 p.m., I'm cooking. She showed up in jeans and a sweater because this felt casual. He answered the door in similar clothes. Jeans, black t-shirt, barefoot. Come in. His apartment smelled amazing. Garlic, tomato sauce, bread. He was making pasta from scratch because apparently he was that person. You cook, she said. When I have time, it's relaxing. I microwave things and call it cooking. I'll teach you. He did. Walked her through making fresh pasta, patient when she messed up the first batch, encouraging when the second batch turned out decent. They drank wine. He told her stories about learning to cook from his mother. She told him about the time she'd set off the fire alarm making toast in college. After dinner, they moved to his balcony. The view was absurd. Central Park spread out below them, city lights everywhere, the kind of vista that reminded her why people paid absurd rent to live in Manhattan. I could never leave this view, she said. It's just a view, says the person who has it. He was standing close, not touching, but close enough that she could feel the warmth of him, smell his cologne, see the way city lights reflected in his eyes. Ellis. Yes, I'm going to kiss you now. If that's not what you want, tell me. Her breath caught. It's what I want. He cupped her face gently, gave her time to change her mind, then kissed her. It was slow, deliberate, the kind of kiss that felt like a promise instead of a question. She responded immediately, hands finding his chest, feeling his heartbeat under her palms. He pulled back after a moment, forehead against hers, both of them breathing harder. That was... she started. Yeah. They went back inside. He poured more wine with hands that weren't quite steady. She sat on his couch, hyper-aware of every nerve ending. So, she said intelligently. So. He sat next to her, not touching, but close. I like you, he said, in case that wasn't clear. It was moderately clear. The kiss was a hint. I wanted to be obvious. Mission accomplished. He smiled, reached out, tucked hair behind her ear. What do you want, Ellis? Honestly, I'm terrified. You're my neighbor. This could get complicated. It's already complicated. Fair point. She looked at him, at his face that was too handsome for her sanity. I want to see where this goes, if that's what you want. That's exactly what I want. He kissed her again, deeper this time, hungrier. She responded in kind, hands in his hair, pulling him closer. They moved to his bedroom without discussing it. Clothes came off between kisses. He was careful, attentive, checking in with her. She was confident, responsive, done with overthinking. The chemistry was explosive. Afterward, they lay tangled in his sheets, her head on his chest, his hand tracing patterns on her shoulder. That was... she started. Yeah, he agreed. So we're doing this? Whatever this is? We're doing this. She smiled against his chest. Okay, good. They fell asleep like that, her in his bed, him holding her like she might disappear. Like this thing between them was already more than either of them had planned. The next few weeks fell into an easy rhythm. Morning coffee together, evenings at his place or hers. Her co-workers noticed the glow. She was happy. Until week 5, when Luca told her he was leaving. They were at his place on a Thursday when his phone rang. He took the call in his study, came back different. I need to tell you something, he said, sitting beside her. Her stomach dropped. Okay. I'm leaving New York in 6 weeks, moving back to Chicago. What? Why? Business. I've been here 8 years establishing territory. Now I'm being called back to take a bigger role. Territory. She caught the word. What kind of business uses territory? He looked at her, making a decision. My family doesn't do traditional real estate. We run an organization. 3 generations in Chicago. I was sent here to establish presence. Now I'm being called back. She stood, needed space. You're in the Mafia? Yes. She walked to the window, tried to process. So you're leaving and that's it? I didn't plan this, meeting you, feeling this way. But leaving was always the plan. Yes. I need to go. She left, went to her apartment, called Maya and explained everything. Do you care? Maya asked. About the Mafia thing? No, but I care that he's leaving. Ellis didn't text him that night, or the next day. Gave herself space to think, to feel, to figure out what she actually wanted. On day 3, her phone buzzed. Luca, I miss you. Can we talk? She stared at the message for 5 minutes, then texted back. My place, tonight. He showed up at 7. She let him in. They stood in her living room, the room he'd helped her arrange, and looked at each other. I've been thinking, she said. And? I don't care about your family business. I probably should, but I don't. You've been good to me. That's what matters. Relief crossed his face. Ellis, but you're leaving. I am. So where does that leave us? He crossed to her, took her hands. Come with me. She blinked. What? To Chicago. Come with me. Luca, I have a job, a career I've built. My entire life is here. You could have a life in Chicago. Transfer firms, go independent. The city has architecture. You're asking me to uproot my entire existence for a relationship that's 6 weeks old. I'm asking you to take a chance on something real. This is real, Ellis. You feel it too. She did. God help her, she did. What if it doesn't work? She asked. What if we get there and fall apart? What if we don't try and spend the rest of our lives wondering what could have been? That's not a real answer. It's the only one I have. I can't promise perfect, but I can promise real. This thing between us? It's real. And I'm not ready to let it go. She wanted to say yes, wanted to be brave enough to jump, but the fear was paralyzing. I need time, she said. To think, to figure out if I can do this. How much time? I don't know. You leave in 5 weeks? Yes. Then I have 5 weeks. He nodded. Understood. Can I stay? Tonight? She should say no, should maintain distance, should protect herself. Yes. They didn't have sex, just lay in her bed holding each other, both knowing the clock was ticking, neither knowing how to stop it. Over the next 3 weeks, they stayed together, both knowing the end date was approaching, both trying to make the most of the time they had left. She met Marco, Luca's second in command, the man who handled operations. They had lunch in the West Village. Marco was professional, polite, and clearly approved of Ellis. Boss doesn't bring women around, Marco said after Luca stepped away to take a call. You're special. Boss? Ellis asked. What we call him. Don't read into titles. But she did. Started understanding the scope of what Luca actually did. The organization he ran. The responsibility he carried. You're really moving? Marco asked. I haven't decided yet. For what it's worth. I've known him 8 years. Never seen him like this. You matter to him. She started researching Chicago, architecture firms, cost of living, neighborhoods, stalking the city online like she was planning a vacation instead of a complete life overhaul. Maya noticed. You're really considering this. I think I am. That's brave. That's insane. Sometimes they're the same thing. Week 8, 2 weeks before the move, Ellis called her parents. I might be moving to Chicago, she said on video call. Her mother's face did something complicated. For a man you've known 2 months? For a life I want. He's part of it. What about your career? Her father asked. Chicago has architecture. I can freelance or find a new firm. I've been looking. Her mother was quiet. Then, are you happy? Really happy, Mom. Then we support you. But we reserve the right to worry. I wouldn't expect anything else. Week 9, 1 week before the move, Ellis made her decision. They were at his place. He was packing. She was helping. Both of them careful not to talk about the deadline approaching. "Luca," she said. He looked up from the box he was taping. "I'm coming with you." He went very still. "What?" "To Chicago. I'm coming. I'm terrified, and this is probably insane, but I love you and I'd regret not trying." He crossed the room in 3 steps, kissed her hard. "You're sure?" "No, I'm terrified. But I love you. Have since week 3, even though I didn't say it because it felt too fast. But it's true. I love you." "I love you too. Have since week 2. "Week 2? You didn't say anything." "Didn't want to scare you off." She laughed, kissed him. "We're really doing this. We're really doing this." She gave notice at Morrison and Klein the next day. Her boss was disappointed but understanding. Had connections in Chicago, offered recommendations. She reached out to firms there, had 3 video interviews lined up, started packing her apartment again. Less than 3 months after moving in. Maya helped. "This is insane," Maya said, taping boxes. "I know. But also kind of romantic. Also that. Call me every day. Visit. Let me come visit. I need to approve of your new Chicago life. Deal." The last week in New York was a blur. Goodbye dinners, final meetings, packing everything she owned, including the massive monstera that had started this entire thing. "We're bringing the plant," Ellis insisted. "It's 6 feet tall," Luca pointed out. "It's symbolic. The plant started this. The plant comes." "You're ridiculous." "You love me anyway." "I really do." Their last night in New York, they stood on his balcony, soon to be someone else's balcony, looking at the view one last time. "Nervous?" he asked. "Terrified. Excited. Both. My family is going to love you. Or hate me for keeping you away for 8 years. You didn't keep me anywhere. I was always coming back. You just made leaving harder and coming back better." Smooth. Honest. They flew to Chicago on a Wednesday afternoon. Ellis sat by the window, watching New York disappear below them, trying not to have a complete panic attack about the fact that she was moving to a new city with a man she'd known for 10 weeks. "Nervous?" Luca asked, hand on her knee. "Terrified, but also excited. Is that normal?" "That's exactly normal." The flight was short, 2 hours. Luca had arranged movers for their stuff, including the ridiculous monstera that had started everything. Ellis had packed 2 suitcases of immediate necessities and tried to convince herself this wasn't insane. Landing in Chicago felt surreal. O'Hare Airport was massive, crowded, different from LaGuardia in ways she couldn't articulate. Luca navigated everything with the ease of someone who'd grown up here, knew the city in his bones. They took a car service. Black SUV. Professional driver who called Luca Mr. Ferrara. With deference that Ellis was starting to recognize meant something more than just politeness. The drive into the city showed her a Chicago she'd never seen as a tourist. Not downtown, not the Loop, but residential neighborhoods that felt historic and lived in. Gold Coast, Luca explained. Old money Chicago, where his family had been for 3 generations. His brownstone appeared on a tree-lined street that looked like it belonged in a period drama. 4 stories, original stone facade, wrought iron details, the kind of property that made Ellis's architect brain light up with appreciation. "You own this?" she asked as they pulled up. "Family property. I grew up 3 blocks from here. This one was my grandfather's." The interior made her want to cry with joy. Hardwood floors that were original and perfectly maintained, exposed brick on accent walls. Crown molding that was actually from 1890-something, not reproduction. A fireplace with original tile. Modern kitchen that respected the historic bones of the space. The furniture was minimal, but high quality. Living room with comfortable seating facing the fireplace. Dining room with a table that could seat 8. Office on the second floor with built-in bookshelves. Master bedroom on the third floor with windows overlooking the street. "This is incredible," Ellis said, standing in the living room, turning in a circle to take it all in. "It needed work when I bought it. Spent 2 years renovating." "You did this?" "Hired people who knew what they were doing. But I oversaw everything. Wanted it done right." She walked through each room, noting details. The way he'd preserved original elements while updating mechanicals. The thoughtful placement of modern interventions that didn't fight with historic character. The respect for materials and craftsmanship. "I love it," she said honestly. "This is exactly how historic renovation should be done." High praise from an architect. Earned praise. "This is really beautiful, Luca." He came up behind her, wrapped arms around her waist. "It's home. Our home now." Our home. The word settled something in her chest. This wasn't just his space she was invading. This was theirs. He'd said it like it was fact. "Our home," she repeated. "I like the sound of that." That evening, they unpacked essentials. Ellis hung clothes in the closet that was now half hers, set up her laptop in the office space he'd cleared for her, arranged toiletries in the bathroom that had double sinks and a clawfoot tub she was definitely using later. Around 7 p.m., Luca emerged from the office where he'd been on calls all afternoon. "My mother wants us for dinner tonight." Ellis's stomach dropped. "Tonight? Like now tonight?" 7:30. "We have time." "I just moved here. I'm not ready to meet your family." "You're as ready as you'll ever be. And my mother won't take no for an answer." "What if they hate me?" He pulled her close. "They won't hate you. They'll love you because I love you. But even if they hated you, which they won't, it wouldn't change anything. You say that now. I say that always. You're mine, Ellis. They'll accept that." The possessive "you're mine" should have been a red flag. Instead, it made her feel secure. They arrived at his parents' house at 7:30 exactly. The house was 10 minutes away in the same neighborhood, massive Victorian, probably 6,000 square feet, the kind of property that screamed old money Chicago. "This is where you grew up?" Ellis asked, staring up at it. "This is where I had dinner every Sunday for 18 years. It's enormous. It's family." The door opened before they knocked. A woman in her 60s, beautiful, perfectly styled, warm smile appeared. "Luca!" She pulled him into a hug, then turned to Ellis. "And you must be Ellis. I've heard so much about you." "All good things, I hope." "He hasn't stopped talking about you since he met you. Come in, come in." Maria Ferrara was exactly what Ellis expected, and somehow more. Warm without being overwhelming, elegant without being cold. Clearly the matriarch who ran this family with love and occasional steel. The house interior was traditional. Dark wood, antique furniture, oil paintings, the accumulated wealth of 3 generations displayed without ostentation. The dining room table was set for 8. Vincent Ferrara appeared. Luca's father, 60-something, commanding presence. The kind of man who'd clearly run things for decades and was used to being obeyed. "So, this is Ellis," he said, shaking her hand with a grip that was firm but not aggressive. "My son speaks highly of you. I hope I live up to expectations." Time will tell. 3 brothers appeared. She learned names quickly. Marco, the eldest, already married with kids. Antonio, middle, engaged. Giovanni, youngest, still single. They were variations on Luca. Same coloring, similar features, different energies. Dinner was formal but warm. Maria had cooked everything herself, multiple courses, Italian dishes that made Ellis understand where Luca had learned to appreciate food. Everyone talked over each other, switched between English and Italian, asked Ellis a million questions about architecture, about New York, about her plans in Chicago. "So you're the architect who convinced Luca to come home," Vincent said during the main course. "I didn't convince him," Ellis said carefully, aware she was being evaluated. "He was already coming. I just came along." Vincent smiled, small, approving. "You convinced him. He's been dragging his feet about returning for months. Then he meets you and suddenly he can't wait to get back to Chicago." Ellis glanced at Luca. He shrugged, smiled, didn't deny it. "Family's been waiting 8 years for him to return," Vincent continued. "You made it happen. For that, we're grateful." Maria reached over, squeezed Ellis's hand. "We're happy you're here. Both of you." The evening lasted until 11. By the end, Ellis's head was spinning with names, stories, family dynamics she was only beginning to understand. But she also felt welcomed, accepted, like she'd passed some invisible test. In the car back to the brownstone, she collapsed against Luca. That was intense. That was family. Too much? No. Just a lot. Good a lot. Your mother is wonderful. Your father is terrifying in a good way. Your brothers are charming and exhausting. Accurate assessment. Do they know about what you do? They're part of it. Family business means family business. Right. The organization. The thing they still needed to figure out how to navigate. "We'll talk about that tomorrow," Luca said, reading her mind. "Tonight, let's just be happy we're home." Home, Chicago, their brownstone, their new life. "Okay," she agreed. "Happy sounds good." 3 months later, Ellis had settled into Chicago faster than expected. She was freelancing, 3 clients already, all residential projects, working from the home office in the brownstone. Her routine was different, but good. She'd found her coffee shop, her running route, her rhythm. Maya had visited twice, approved of everything. One Saturday morning, she was working on designs at the dining table. Luca came down wearing sweatpants and an old t-shirt, coffee in hand. He stood in the doorway watching her. "What?" she asked, noticing. "Just thinking about that first day. You with that ridiculous plant. Best impulse purchase I ever made. The plant, the apartment, which led to meeting you, which led to Chicago, which led to here." He crossed to her, kissed her. "Want to get another plant? Christen the new place?" "Only if you're carrying it." "Deal." They went to a nursery in Lincoln Park, found another monstera, smaller than the original, but still substantial. Luca carried it without complaint, while Ellis picked out 3 additional plants. Back at the brownstone, arranging plants in the living room, it felt like home. Like this life they were building was real and solid and theirs. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." "No regrets?" "About you? Never. About the plant collection you're building? Ask me in 6 months." She laughed, kissed him, felt grateful for broken elevators, terrible timing, and a man who'd helped without being asked. Sometimes the best relationships started with terrible decisions, giant plants, and taking chances on things that seemed too fast, too risky, too complicated. Sometimes they worked out anyway. Subscribe for more Mafia romance stories. Join our members area for exclusive content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.